a second while I get this thing going here this morning. Pastor Robbie George coming to you on this Thursday morning. Have to get the day right here. Thursday morning, and it is August 15th on Thursday morning, and I'm coming to you this morning from the city of South Boston, Virginia. I just made my delivery and getting ready to head back to High Point, where I have another load waiting on me going to Thomasville, so not too stressing there. I got up at 1 o'clock this morning and got departed maybe about 4:15, something like that. But a beautiful day today, getting near 90 degrees, I guess, before the day is done. Not hardly a cloud in the sky. I'm in South Boston, Virginia, though, today. That is, if you go up to Danville, just north of where we live, and then you go east on Highway 58, and then you go north a little bit on Highway 360 that would take you on into Richmond if you went on that way. We used to run that truck route, run 360 back and forth instead of going up 85 all the time. So South Boston is pretty significant today as I come to you in my life, and I'll share a little bit about that here in just a moment. But today it is 17 days left till we launch Archdale Baptist Church, 9078 Hillsville Road in Trinity, North Carolina. If you know where the Family Dollar is, the new Family Dollar they just built in the Hillsville area, and they got the Dollar General on the other side of it. So when you leave church, pick up what you need from the Dollar General, or you can pick it up from the Family Dollar there, whatever your preference. 8:30 a.m., 17 days from today, on Sunday, September the 1st, we will begin meeting at 8:30 a.m., and that will continue. There's 5 Sundays in the month of September, and then we'll continue meeting each and every week as the Lord leads. Each and every week at 8:30 a.m. At the Hillsville Community Center. And we're thanking God that the day is almost here. We've about got everything done. We got a few more things to get done before that day gets here. But we're getting excited as the day is approaching, and we're just thanking God for everything that He has got us to this point. He has provided everything that is needed, and He has helped us to get everything done that needed to be done. And this morning, as I'm here in the city of South Boston, I wanted to share with you, back on November the 19th of 2007, so 19th of November 2007, so that is now 17 years ago. 17 years ago, this November the 19th, I made my last delivery over the road here in the city of South Boston. I had come from Reno, Nevada. I had delivered down into Albuquerque, New Mexico. I believe I picked up something in Albuquerque going to Birmingham, Alabama. And then I picked up my last load over the road in Birmingham, Alabama, and it delivered here in the city of South Boston, Virginia on November the 19th of 2007. So 17 years ago, God led me to leave the road. I'd been on the road from the age of 16. So say about 1985, at the age of 16, I got in a truck, though I'd been in a truck all my life before that. My daddy was a furniture peddler. So I feel I've been in the truck all my life, but as far as driving the truck, when I got my driver's license, I started driving a 35-foot straight truck with a rag top, hauling that stick around as furniture, and selling it on street corners all over this country. So I drove a truck for about 90% of my life at that point when I left the road. From 1985 to 2007, I'd spent more or less all my life in a truck going somewhere. And I praise the Lord for those opportunities. But if I had not left the road as I did on November the 19th, 2007, 1 week later I would begin my job at UPS Freight, where I would be the next 15 years until 2 years ago. Who knows? Only the Lord knows whether I would have been called into the gospel ministry, but everything is about decision points in one's life. I read a book George Bush wrote after he left the White House, and it was called Decision Points. I enjoyed that book quite a lot. I actually read it more than once, and he was talking about all the decisions he'd made in his life, both in his life to quit drinking and how that radically changed his life. And he talked about his faith. He talked about the decisions he made in the White House as president after 9/11 and things like that. Just the decisions that we make in our life, we have no idea how it's going to impact the rest of our days. And so in going to work at UPS Freight on November the 26th of 2007, where I would be the next 15 years of my life, I had no idea, but I had no idea that on October the 21st of 2013, while I was sitting on a forklift nonetheless, unloading a truck at UPS Freight on the dock, that the Lord would call me into the gospel ministry. I had no idea, and it was a simple yes or no. It was that simple. And so just for you that may think that the Lord calling you to do this or calling you to do that is something that is maybe strange. You may seem for me to say to you this morning, on this beautiful morning, that God speaks clearly, and He calls people into ministry. He calls you to do all kinds of things, and sometimes it's a simple yes or no. That's the way it was for me, and I said yes. So from that day, I've shared before, our life has never been the same. I went home and shared it with my wife. We sat down and shared it with our 2 daughters at home at that time, and we shared it with our families. And our lives have never been the same or the better. But it came with a decision of leaving the road. We lived at 4053 Evergreen Drive at that day. When I left the road, we still lived there in Evergreen Acres, there where we lived for 10 years before we moved to Archdale. And so we still lived over in Evergreen Acres at this time. For 3 more years we would live there until the Lord miraculously allowed us to buy a house where we live presently in the city of Trinity, but half our neighborhood is Archdale. And so we are about 6 minutes or so, about 6 minutes from Hillsville Community Center, where we're going to be beginning service on September the 1st, Sunday, September the 1st at 8:30 a.m., 9078 Hillsville Road. Most everybody knows where we're talking about. And just south of the city of Archdale, our long-term goals, we've got a 36-month plan that I put on the Archdale Baptist Church Facebook plan. Within 3 years, we want to see a move to Archdale. And that is our goal and our intentions, to be in the city of Archdale, the namesake of the church, Archdale Baptist Church. And inside of 6 years, we want to see God lead us to build a church. That's the goals, and you've got to have a vision. Proverbs 29:18, I put that on that post that day. Where there is no vision, the people perish. So we want to see the church move from Hillsville Community Center to the city of Archdale long term, and we want to see the city of Archdale be our permanent residence as we build a church there. So that is our intentions, and that is the goals that we have in front of us. But we start with those small steps on September the 1st, and God has been in this all the way, folks. I can tell you that as I'm taking a right here heading south. God has done this. It's nothing that Janet or myself have done. All we've been doing is following the leadership of the Holy Ghost. And this morning, we are just pleased with where God has us presently in this world. The world's a little chaotic right now as I come to you. But I was thinking as I was riding up here this morning, I'm a NASCAR fan. I'm a huge NASCAR nut, actually, and it's 3 weeks till the championship starts this year, and I'm about 5 races behind. That's the way this year has been. I've got them on DVR, or I have to watch them on YouTube sometimes when the DVR don't record them. But I was thinking as I came up here this morning, some of the great drivers are stepping away from the sport, and one of them that's stepping away this year I like and I'm fond of, and that's Martin Truex Jr. And I was thinking about him and stepping away, and he's reached that point in his life. He's probably about 45 years old. He's accomplished everything in his life that he felt that he wanted to accomplish. Now, he could still win races, I have no doubt. He could win the championship this year in his last season. I believe that too. But there comes a time, and that's what happened that period of my life on the road. I had done everything on the road that I felt like I needed to accomplish. The Lord had provided miraculously for our lives all those years. All the years Janet and I have been together, I've been on the road pretty much all my life in a truck going somewhere, and that has not changed. And even with my job change, I'll talk a little bit about it here in a minute, but I thought about Martin Truex Jr. stepping away from the sport this year at the end of the season, hopefully with a championship. But he had accomplished everything that he wanted to accomplish, and he's leaving the sport. Pleased with where he was in the world, and I did the same. It was such a great time in my life. I had no idea that I was going to be freezing to death. 15 years ahead of me of freezing every winter. I do not miss that. Praise God, the weather's getting ready to change again, and I am so thankful that here in about 3 weeks when the weather begins to change, and I know that a lot of people out there probably love this fall time that's coming up and the change, but I love the heat because I had to work out there for 15 years, and I hated when winter came. Don't have to worry about that as much no more, but still yet I'm out in the weather, and but not like that. So thinking this morning, just, God led me to make that decision in my life that it was time to step away from the road. And now in the time that I worked for UPS Freight, there was a period of 4 years where I was part-time before I got hired full-time. And I did have other jobs because when I first started there, they weren't working me but about 4 hours a night. And you can't provide for a family working 4 hours a night. So I had to go get other truck driving jobs and driving something. So I found something working there. I worked for MGM Transport until they went out of business, actually, just about. And I worked for Trinity Transport in Lexington a couple times. And I worked for other trucking kind of jobs through that period. But one thing I'll say, I did spend 2 trips out of town during that 4-year period. One was to up near Scranton, Pennsylvania. I went up there during the winter and the snow hit, and I was up there and the roads, it was slick. It was a scary night when I was traveling up there that night to go up to Lowe's Distribution and deliver for Trinity Transport, I believe it was. I used to go to pick up down there in it's probably a Denton or Lexington address, but everybody that knows where Skipper's Seafood is down there where 64 crosses 109, right in there behind Skipper's Seafood on that road that cuts across behind it, there's a Lowe's place there that loads trucks and multi-stop kind of deal. And I did that for a time for Trinity Transport. They'd have 3 or 4 deliveries on there that was going to Lowe's stores. And I would go, like, say, down to Darlington, South Carolina, and I would deliver to Rockingham and, those kind of deals. And I would deliver, multi-stop kind of deal. And I could get back and still be at UPS Freight by 6 o'clock that night. So I started real early in the morning, and the days were long, but you did what you had to do to provide for your family during those 4 years. But I spent a night or so away there when I went to Pennsylvania on one trip for Trinity Transport, and I was actually pulling doubles for UPS Freight after I got full time, and I actually spent a night in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, pulling doubles up there. So that's just a general idea. We did go on a West Virginia trip, spent some time up there, West Virginia and Kentucky, in a motel room to go see Janet's family. And then in our time as pastor in South Carolina, those weekends we spent in Blenheim and Bennettsville, South Carolina, sometimes in Laurinburg, in a hotel there in the beginning. But other than that, I've been home all these 17 years in my bed every night. Now, when I changed jobs where I am now, you're not as home as much as you think. I can tell you that. Even driving a truck like I am now, tomorrow I'm looking at more than likely a 90% chance when I get back here shortly, I'll go in there and look on the schedule and see that I've got a very long trip tomorrow. Maybe 12, 14-hour days, so that's what I'm looking at, and it's just a part of it. But when you're working those kind of days, you're not really home very much. But tomorrow is Friday, and thank God it's Friday. As I'm heading back west now towards the city of Danville right now, it's about 30 minutes from South Boston to Danville. So I'm going in a westerly direction right now. This sign here says the Southside Virginia Commercial College Truck Driver Campus. Hitachi has got a big plant right here to my left. And here's a pilot truck stop coming up on my right here. But there are really a lot of jobs that have sprung up here, and they brought some big companies have come into this area, and this economy probably is really rolling good here in the city of South Boston. But so a lot has changed in these 17 years. I did come through here one day in the 2 years that I've been working for a carpenter company. I did come back down 360 there from Richmond. So I did come through there one day, but that is maybe only my second time that I'm aware of that I've been in the city of South Boston since those 17 years ago. But anyway, just getting back to those decision points, if I would have never decided to leave the road, there's no telling what my life would have looked like today if I would have stayed out there and just grinded it on down. But thank God I didn't. I have been traveling all my life, and I've been everywhere like Johnny Cash. And I love traveling, don't get me wrong. If I'm well rested, I want to be in a truck going somewhere. But people that travel will tell you it never gets old. As long as you're well rested, you're ready to go wherever you're going. But let's see, this week I've been in the city of Greensboro delivering right by A&T University this week already. And I've been in the city of Sanford, North Carolina. I've been in Thomasville already this week, and I've also been down to Raleigh numerous times, I'm sure, and let's see, I've been keeping close to home here for the longest time, but since they hired a new driver, things have been working out where I haven't had to take those long trips. But one time I went to Catholic, Virginia. We got a driver that's going there today, actually. I almost had to go to Catholic, Virginia, 5 hours away yesterday. I almost had to. But they didn't get the load ready on Tuesday, and they had to bump the load. So, but anyway, I'm pleased with where we are in the world right now. Now, I don't get a lot of time during the week to do the things I want to do, but I have been able to get home a little earlier here lately, and didn't yesterday, but that was a little unusual yesterday. They didn't get the load ready in time, so I wound up leaving late and got back late. But for the most part, I've been able to get home about 2:45 every day, and I like that tremendously. Going in at 4, 5 o'clock, getting off at 2:30. So I've been enjoying that schedule here, and we're trying to continue to work on our schedule and get it where we want it. We're not there yet, but leaving work at 2:30, getting home at 2:45. I would like to get that back to leaving at 2, getting home at 2:15. That's my goal long term. But there's a lot of factors that have to factor. I have to get to work earlier, and that's not always possible. And so, but we're working on that. God is providing. Today is our three of our grandkids. Today is their first day at Christian school. School is getting ready to start everywhere. The schools up here in South Boston were already operating today, and they're starting there in our area. The public schools began on the 26th, today the 15th, so they don't have but 11 more days. The speed limit is 60 now through these areas here. Back when I used to run these roads, it was only 55. And now they bumped it up to 60. But it's a beautiful area here. It won't be long, folks. I'm going to tell you, those trees are going to be changing, and it's going to happen quick. It is hard to believe. Summer is almost gone. Kind of depressing for me because I love summer. I love the heat, and I love the summertime, and I wish it was hot all year round myself, but I don't want to move nowhere else to get it that way. But that's another good development. Our daughter and grandson and son-in-law, and they're moving back from Florida. They've been down there for 3 years, and they're actually moving back this coming week. So we're excited to see them back home. They've been gone a long time, and we never got a chance down there to visit with them while they were living there. And that's a bummer for us, but life has just been kind of full for us, especially since Harlow's been born. And life has just changed for us. But it's changed in a lot of good ways, and it's a good change there. There comes a cop. He got somebody else speeding. I seen somebody this morning get busted on the way up here. He done got him another one. But 60 is not fast enough on this road, I'll tell you, man. You need to just stay home because these roads are narrow. They're going by people's houses. There's people out here working on the road and road construction. I mean, I don't get it, but some people never learn. But we've had a beautiful summer. That's the big man there that's got him. That's the state police right there. But anyway, this morning, as long as he's on that side of the road, that's all I'm concerned about. But anyway, this morning, as we're heading back, I've got to stop and get fuel because I've got 3/4 on, but taking that long trip tomorrow, I need to top it off. I'll make a decision when I get down there, when I get to Reedsville, where the Loves is, and decide whether I'm going to stop or not. But I know I got a long trip tomorrow, and I want to be able to go to my destination and get back without having to get fuel. That's our goal, to leave in the morning, not have to stop, so much, and get up there where we're going, get it unloaded, and get headed back home for Friday. I don't like going nowhere on Friday that far away, but we got a driver out right now. We had a driver that had a crash in his own personal vehicle. Somebody hit him on Monday, and he's out of work for a week. So it may have been a little different situation tomorrow, but you never know. And we're not going to dwell on that. God's been good to us in this few days he's been out. But we're just praying God gets him and his son healed up and gets them healthy and whole and back at work as soon as he's fit to be able to work. We just had an aunt pass away. Our Aunt Cindy passed away this past Monday morning as well, or Monday night, I'm sorry. And her final services will be in just a couple days here at home. Our family, we gathered together to celebrate her life and to send her off. And she suffered a long time, and the Lord, she's at peace today with the Lord. And one day we'll all be there. And I pray that's the desire of everybody's heart that's listening, to know the Lord. So one day we're going to meet him, and I hope we're prepared to meet him, because that day is going to come for all of us, and it happens to one and all. That's what Solomon said. One event happens to all. But this morning, 19 miles to Danville, 50 miles to Martinsville, 118 miles to the city of Hillsville. And if you went that far on this road, I tell you, you're going to hit some rough roads. There's some mountainous roads on this road when you get over in that part of the world. But Virginia's a beautiful state. More or less, we're riding right here along the state line all the way down through here. I can't see it on the GPS. But the state line is literally less than 5 miles to my left, and so just south of us, we're riding right along the state line, and it kind of is that way all the way over. And so we get over here, we hit Highway 29 down into North Carolina, and like I said, may have to stop in Reedsville for a little petro. You have to hit your brakes going down these hills, because there's some hills on this road. And, but it's just a good day to be alive today, and I hope God is blessing your week. And I invite you to come and celebrate the first service with us at Archdale Baptist Church. We're anticipating what God is going to do. I've been working on the bylaws, and been trying to work on that a little every day. And I've got to have those done. And when we submit our 501c3 status, which is coming as soon as God provides the funding for that, there's a $600 fee that is attached to that. And there's a whole lot of elbow grease work in getting it to, and paperwork, and it's a long process. But I've already begun the process, but I'm at the point where the money has to be paid. I can't proceed no further, but I have to submit the bylaws for the church, the regulations, the operation, and there's just a lot of stuff that I don't even know how to do. Just being honest with you, I'm not technologically fit, and I need a lot more experience. But I've been writing out the bylaws, and I'm about 80% done. If I had to put a number on how close I am to being completed, and I hope to have those bylaws, 2 copies of them, wherever we're at in the process when the church service begins. If someone wants to take the bylaws home and be reading over them and then bring them back, and someone else can do the same, we're going to have them on day 1. We'll be putting out a transparency update here real shortly. As we get about another week or so, I've got a few more purchases to make, and we'll be putting out a transparency update where we are. And on day 1, they will be copies of our financial status as well for people to take home. We'll have multiple copies of that. So those are just some ideas. We're going to have a clipboard on day 1 for people to sign up for text alerts, if you will. And so we'll have that on day 1, and we'll be wanting people to fill out the visitor cards if they feel comfortable doing so, or if they have a desire to do so. But those are just the general ideas. We'll have some information on day 1 of the ministry that we are supporting. 50% of the funding that will be coming in on day 1, beginning, just say if we get an offering on Sunday, September the 1st, 50% of those funds will go to Evangelist Kenny and Deborah Greenway of Evangelist Ministries there in Lay-Cahay. I don't even know if I'm saying the name right. Georgia, southern Georgia, down on the Florida border. They travel all over this country, and as we support these good works of God, we'll have some information on the tables each week according to who we are supporting that week and who the monies are going to. And people want to study up and find out what they want to about the individuals we're giving to. I printed off some information on them. Cornerstone Baptist Church, and Pastor Jimmy and Geraldine Mercado in the Philippines, and Gospel Tabernacle and Pastor Bruce and Debbie Wood in Thomasville, North Carolina. So we'll have some information about these people that we're supporting that's out there on the table for people to look at. And what we will have to begin is printed out songs. I'm writing these songs out, and then I am copying them, making copies, and then so we'll have like handouts for the some of the songs we'll be singing. We'll be singing some of the songs out of the hymnals. We have 10 hymnals on hand already, and thank the Lord for Pastor Cole Dillon, Lights for Christ Ministries, for donating those hymnals to Archdale Baptist Church. So we'll have hymnals. I have to share a little bit, but we've got 9 Bibles that we purchased for anybody that needs a Bible. We purchased the Lord's Supper and the Lord's Table, so we'll be having that as time goes along. And we purchased everything else that we need, the visitor cards, the tithing envelopes, offering envelopes, if you will. And so just giving you an idea, we've got a couple things left to get. One of those is the liability insurance. If all goes well, I'll be going and getting that next Friday, August the 23rd. That'll be one of the final purchases that we have to have. And then we'll be going and getting takes now anywhere from 5 to 10 of the yard signs so that we can advertise the church around our community. And so that'll be one final purchase. We have to purchase 2 ink cartridges and then some sheet protectors, because like I said, I've got to print off where we have 3 of the bylaws, and for now, and then print off the songs. I have about 10 copies of each song, and we're hoping to have about 10 songs eventually. We're working on that. And let's see, just got a lot of printing to do, so I hope 2 ink cartridges will do it. If it doesn't, we'll purchase additional, but we've got a few small purchases to make. That's about I don't know what the liability insurance is going to run us, but I've estimated it'll be about $300 for the next 6 months, just say. Whatever that breaks down to, $50 a month. So you figure the first month, we've still got some monies to put out there, obviously, for our first month's rent, for the existing things we have to purchase. So we're getting there, and then I'll have a final tally on day 1 when the church meets for the first time, and we will have a financial report laying on the table for people to put home, take home with them. And the purpose of that is just being totally transparent. That is the goal of Archdale Baptist Church, to be the most transparent church on earth. And when I say that, I mean that. All our meetings will be published, God willing, put out there for everything that goes on inside the church will be online for the world to see. There will be no hidden agendas, no backroom deals. Everything will be above board. 100% of the monies that come in will be going to the work of the ministry. Plain and simple. It don't get any more simple than that. So those items will be listed, the monies that have been spent. So we're just being totally transparent. I believe that's the way to go. And I believe that's honoring of the Lord and pleasing in His sight. And I think He's pleased. We try to do things in this way. It's honoring to God. It's honoring of His people. And anyone that is giving to the ministry knows where the monies are going. And there's some churches that don't even have business meetings. And there's some churches that don't have them for 3 months at a time, or maybe once a year. And there's some churches that will not allow you to sit and see the physicality of the receipts and where the monies are going, or the bank statements. There's churches that hide these things from their people, and that's not godly. And we're an open book at Archdale Baptist Church, and we are going to honor God by putting everything out there that we spend. You're going to know about it, and we're going to have evidence of it, and that's just the way we're going to do church. And so we're excited. The first week we'll be giving to Evangelist Kenny Greenway, and we have to get to a number to give to him, so you know what I'm saying there. We may not be able to give it that first week because there may not be enough funds that come in to give to him, and it may take 2 or 3 services before we're able to send him an offering. I don't know how it'll come out. I just know what we'll be given. So based upon that, it's going to take some time to do what is needed there financially, to see all 3 of our ministries supported in the beginning, and that is Cornerstone Baptist Church, Jimmy and Geraldine Mercado in the Philippines, Pastor Bruce and Debbie Wood, Gospel Tabernacle in Thomasville, and then Evangelist Kenny and Deborah Greenway in Olathe, Payhay, Georgia. So those 3 ministries are what we're going to begin with. We've got we originally had 7, and I've explained what happened with one of the ministries. We will not be supporting it no longer, and there may be another 7th ministry that comes along at some point. And then I've shared a little bit about the other 3 ministries that we want to support long term. So we're not there yet, and obviously you'll have to see what funds come in and what you'll be able to support in the beginning. But for the time being, our first offerings will be going to support Evangelist Kenny and Deborah Greenway and as our evangelists. And then the next offerings will be going to Gospel Tabernacle in Thomasville. And then our third offerings will be going to support the good work of Brother Jimmy Mercado in the Philippines. So that is our goal, to do things in that manner, and then we will just repeat. We will hit repeat and do the same once those ministries have been supported. And we're not really on no timeline to see these things done. As God provides, we'll support these ministries, and that's the way God is pleased. But we thank you for watching today as I'm traveling from South Boston, Virginia this morning, and I'm coming near to the city of Danville, and I'll be stopping up here in a minute and stopping the video, and then we'll be posting this a little later on as we have time. Obviously our hands are a little full at the moment, so we will be posting this at a time that's appropriate. 6 miles to the city of Danville, 37 miles to the city of Martinsville, and 105 miles to the city of Hillsville. So tomorrow, the way things are looking, looks like I'll be either going to the Norfolk, Virginia area, or I'll be going to Wires Cave, Virginia, which is up on Interstate 81, way up 81 above Stanton, Virginia. It's not very far from getting up in there where you go into West Virginia and Maryland and Pennsylvania. I don't think it's about 100 miles from the state line of Pennsylvania, I believe. So it's a long way from home. And when you get in this truck in the morning, either of those places you're going to, you're just going to be riding till you get to your destination. And that's what we do out here. And we just thank God for the skills He's given us to drive a truck for a living and provide for our family. We praise God for Jesus today. We thank Him for the Holy Ghost. And we thank Him for the church. We thank Him for the Word of God today. And we thank God for you today for listening. As my phone is turned around there. And this morning, we'll try to turn it around there where to get back to the road. But this morning, as we finish up the video, a change of heart. That business there is listed in. Got Hardee's up here. It says 3 miles ahead on the left, and the Coconut Skill Games over there on the left. There's not a lot of businesses or anything here on this road that we're traveling this morning after you get out of the city of South Boston. But I know my video's probably been